Hey there, it's your pal C. Jacobs, back again with the S plus rank for Claire second run B-side story scenario. I'm doing post commentary this time because I recorded this at like 3 in the morning and I didn't want to wake up my grandparents because, as we know from the previous S Plus video, I'm very prone to screaming when scared of things in horror games. Or saying the F word a lot in horror games. Anyway, Claire, B story,
Leon,
S Plus,
sure you beat me here.
on standard difficulty. This is quite a lot harder than the Leon side. I enjoyed it a little bit less because it was way stressful, and as you will see going forward, there is a hell of a lot of inventory management to be done. I don't really know how much of this to explain for people who haven't played the B stories yet, but basically the B stories give you a different primary weapon than the A story. Leon and Claire both get a new pistol in the B story, and on the one hand, that's pretty cool, but on the other hand, it replaces all item drops of ammo for the first pistol with the new one, and the only way to get ammo for your original gun from the A story is to craft it with gunpowder. So for pretty much this entire playthrough, I'm going to be juggling two pistols, which sounds really cool, the way I phrased it, but by juggling, I mean swapping them in and out of the box, not, you know, physically juggling them a la Revolver Ocelot. I've heard a lot of bad things about Claire's second pistol, the single action army, and this right here is why. Before she starts reloading it, she spins the cylinder, so you spend a second of the reload not putting any bullets in the thing, which is kind of lame. I don't know why they did that. Also, I throw a grenade here and don't kill any of the zombies that I intended to kill with it, which is really cool. Thanks, Resident Evil. Now, I learned from my own mistakes here in the Leon A S Plus video that I posted the other day. I learned from my mistakes, and I'm going to be going for leg shots a lot more instead of headshots, because I've decided that I'm not that insane. Only slightly insane. I mean, I did do this in the first place. But anyway, Claire's second pistol is not actually as good as her first pistol. So when I'm low on ammo for one, I'm going to be bringing out the other and vice versa. This run also required a lot more strategic planning in my running around than the Leon one did, because with the Leon with Leon A, and I assume also Claire A, which I still haven't played as of this recording, with Leon A, you are kind of led in a circuit around the police station, but with Claire B, you only have to go to the west office, west hallway, all that side. You have to go. Ooh, yucky. You have to go to the STARS office to get the battery. So you briefly have to go to the other side just so that you can get all of the medallions and leave. However, you don't ever have to actually go to the area where you get all of the alternate weapons, the key card for the weapons locker and the jewel to get the police badge. With Claire B, you don't actually go that way unless you specifically go out of your way to do so. So I'm going to make sure to do that right away. You have two opportunities, really, to do it. You could do it after coming back from the sewers, or you could do it right now and be able to use all of the grenades and SMG and all that stuff on the first Birkin fight, which I did because I'm too nervous. I'm too nervous to try and fight him with only like knives, grenades, and the pistols. But even with that said, even with all the collection that I'm going to be doing as I'm running around here, I'm still going to be so low on ammo for this entire thing that it is just absolutely nerve-wracking. This was a nerve-wracking playthrough. Right till the very end, I was unsure if I was even going to be able to do it. There's a liquor. A liquor spawns in this hallway, and they just barely give you enough time to see it before you're in range of it, which is kind of fucked up. I mean, messed up. It's kind of messed up. But thankfully, he doesn't follow you into this hallway if you're not running, so you can safely start sprinting once you're touching the water, which he cannot hear. I don't know why he can't hear you walk in the water. So you don't actually have to come here right away. You could go and do the rest and then come here last, but I wanted to get rid of the bolt cutters because Claire B removes the box that's in the lobby, the item box. They got rid of it, which is such a tiny change, but it matters so much that I'm gonna open up this safe before I've even learned the combination. So in the Leon run, I tried to avoid doing stuff that I didn't need to do, like picking up this pouch here. I had a little bit less inventory management to do in Leon A, so I didn't bother getting this pouch out of the safe. But in Claire B, they removed some of the boxes, so I had to I had to make a little quick stop here. And we're also going to solve this little puzzle, get the speed loader for her first pistol. At the time, I had not planned on actually using it. I was just picking it up because I was already here. But as we will see, I will be very glad that I did that. So there is one thing that Claire's second pistol excels at, and that is rapid fire into an enemy's leg to stun them or knock them over. The reason that going for legs is so much better for Claire B than Leon A is because her single action army really just destroys enemy ankles, which is nice. Speaking of which, I had not until this point shot an enemy in the ankles. Somehow, I don't know how, but I've never done that until this playthrough. So if you're wondering what happens if you knock off an enemy's foot without shooting them in the knee, just hold on for like an hour and a half and you'll find out. What a thrilling thing to wait for. But anyway, the B story gets a little bit hairier than the A story, and I messed up here real bad, and I'll give you a second to try and figure out how I messed up. It was only on screen for a second. That's right, I didn't pick up the jewelry box to get the badge, so that screws me over big time. Because when you come in the STAR's office to get the battery so you can blow up the C4, Mr. X spawns out in the hallway. He spawns way earlier on the B story, and that makes things quite a bit harder because there's very little room to maneuver in this part of the police station. But also, because I forgot the jewel box, I'm gonna have to come back and pick it up some other time, and well,
Jesus, stay back!
He's gonna be roaming around here for a while. Now I could have about-faced and taken the long way to get to the library. However, this way I can get the medallion from the unicorn in one straight shot. And by this point, I've learned better than to try and remember these puzzle solutions, because keep in mind that each permutation of ways you can play this game has a different set of puzzle solutions. Like, I think there's at least 2. So I know better now than to try and remember all that offhand. So while I was playing through this, I had it written down on a piece of paper or something next to me, just to make my life a little easier. So Mr. X is still behind me. He's still back there. And thankfully, I have a good surplus of flashbangs, specifically so that I can do this. Now I can do all of the running around that I need to do in this room while Mr. X is stunned. And on Claire B, for some reason, the liquor doesn't come down from the ceiling like it does in the Leon playthrough. So I can just get this medallion and then leave. Which makes my life a lot easier. It still plays the noise for the liquor for some reason. But yeah, you can see the stun on Mr. X is wearing off right as I'm running past him. And I didn't plan for it to be that way. I expected him to be stunned a little longer, but I guess he came through the door a little earlier than I planned for him to. But yeah, this little hallway here is kind of a problem, because on Claire B, it is just absolutely jam-packed with zombies. And what I've just done here is a mistake that I am going to be making for this entire playthrough. In fact, I make it again here. There he is. Mr. X is still behind me. He was able to catch up because I got bit twice. Trying to run past zombies without making sure they are stumbled is such an amateur mistake to make, and yet for this whole playthrough I'm going to be making it over and over and over. Going back to the main hall here to deposit my medallions, and then I'm going to use the spade key on the various doors so I can get rid of it. Technically speaking, we could leave now. If I get the lion medallion from up here, we could just leave without having any of Claire's sub-weapons, but that seems like a pretty terrible idea, so I'm not going to do that. Fuck that. I mean, screw that. Oh, you probably can do it. If you jam-pack yourself with sub-weapons and you bring both pistols, I bet you probably could defeat Birkin, the first Birkin fight, without all that much trouble. Maybe. How easy would it be? I don't know. How easy would the rest of the game be up until you could come back to the police station? Good question. Because when you come back from the underground area, it'll put you right in front of where this waiting room area is. Like, you'd be right where you'd need to be to get the weapons if you wanted to do it on the way back, but I don't really recommend it. Again, take my advice or don't take it. It's up to you, considering you've watched me play through this a couple of times now and I'm by no means a pro, but you know what I mean. I think it would be better in this scenario to have all of her weapons on hand as early as possible, just in case. Now this is fucked up. This ambush here, it's fucked, I mean messed up. Oh, I love the ominous sound of glass breaking behind you. But thankfully, they were a little bit kind about this encounter. That opening attack that the liquor does can't actually hit you, thankfully. It doesn't do damage to you unless you're, like, right in its path. And speaking of right in its path, gotta use another flashbang to get by the big guy. Oh, God. It's only been 15 minutes and already I've done so much. Oh, I'm so sorry, Marvin. Marvin ended up being kind of a punching bag on my full game stream of Claire B, and he still is on the speedrun. Oh, poor Marvin. Oh, God, and you can see over there on the right, Mr. X is still on me. Oh. This was a critical mistake right here. I should have remembered to get the jewel box. I specifically remembered that it was there, but I forgot to pick it up, and I really regret it. However, thankfully, by this point, Mr. X has lost me, so I can just run back and get it, and he won't be there. But if I had got even more unlucky, I would have to juke him on the way back, and that'd be a little scary. But again, I do make another mistake that I really recommend that you do not make. A thing that you should be absolutely conscious of if you happen to do this. Just wait for it. Again, once I make said mistake, I'll give you a minute to see if you can become cognizant of it before I did. Because it took me a while to realize what I had done, but we'll see. Now, I didn't expect this even on the full game stream until someone pointed it out to me, but the SMG is like the most useful weapon in the entire video game. This thing is crazy good. The SMG does so much damage, and enemies are not at all immune to the damage it does in the amount of time it does it, and it's banana sandwich. It really is. I made the mistake, by the way, in case you're trying to keep up for points. That's right. I forgot to take the dongle back, which means I can't get the SMG upgrade. And by the way, I get grabbed by this zombie again, because I did the same thing. Oh god, and there's so many zombies in this hallway that I just say, fuck it. Take a punch in the spine from Mr. X in order to chuck a flashbang. Not one of my prouder moments, but I assumed that he was on the way back through the library and I was trying to avoid him. But as we all now can plainly see, no, he wasn't. He was going the long way around, and I really should have tried to predict that. I really love the AI for Mr. X. He's got like the perfect intelligence for a pursuing enemy type. It's really cool how they made him just smart enough. Anyway, I didn't take the USB dongle. And that's critically important because remember how I was just talking about how good the SMG is? Well, the SMG is way, way less good if you don't get the upgrade that stabilizes your aim. The silencer and all that, which is right down here. Down here before you go into the underground area, there's an upgrade, and you need the dongle to unlock it. And now at this point, I knew Birkin was coming, so I took out everything in my arsenal, not yet realizing that I could not get the upgrade for the SMG. I believe this, right here, is about when it dawns on me. Standing in the elevator, I said, okay, I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna get the SMG upgrade, and then I'm gonna cheese the Birkin fight, or, well, not cheese it, but make it a little bit easier by using the upgrade I'm gonna get with the dongle. Oh shit, where's the dongle? And I felt so stupid. I felt so dumb. All those jokes people made on the stream about tiny brain baby.
Hello?
I'm just too forgetful. Remember what I was saying last time about remembering things and having a bad short-term memory? That's what it is. It's that in action.
Words ain't gonna cut it with this.
So on the first attempt at this during Claire B on the full game stream, I trounced this guy. I don't think I even got hit by him. I kicked his ass. He I killed him in like a minute or less, and it's mostly in part to the SMG. The SMG is just godlike against bosses. Oh, hearing him say Sherry is, ugh, it's so unnerving. But yeah, the SMG, even without the stock and silencer, you can just, it fires so fast, and it does a pretty good amount of damage, but the fire rate is what makes it so good. And it's got almost no recoil too, so you really can just let loose. But unfortunately, I didn't have very much ammo for it. So we're gonna have to do some real sneaky juking here in order to not get our ass kicked. Very close. I was stuck in a corner with no way out there. And so begins, unfortunately, the lack of ammo. Now, I'm probably going to have like less than 20 or so bullets at a time for both handguns and mostly the SMG for the rest of the playthrough. And I don't know why, because I hoover up almost everything I come across. Like, I don't get it. I think that not taking the stock for the SMG really did screw me over. Because I have to use so much more SMG ammo because it's so much more inaccurate without the stock and the silencer. It adds up. It really does. I would have so much more SMG ammo at least, but then I also would have to use less ammo for the rest of the weapons, and it's like a snowballing effect. It really is. It's crazy. This game's balance is so astoundingly tight when it comes to balancing the supplies you are given. It is a masterclass in depriving the player of supplies just enough that they feel the pressure of it. Like, I'm certain that it is possible to get yourself stuck in a corner with like no ammo, no supplies, and like only relying on knives and sub-weapons to get by. I'm positive that can happen, because it almost happened on this very playthrough you're watching with your own two eyes right now. It was so close. But again, I said this on the Leon A S rank. If like, I come so close to using all of my supplies that it has to be intentional. They had to know exactly how many supplies the player would use.
Mom, but he's gone.
I have to wonder how much testing went into balancing the supplies the player is given. It had to be a lot, because like, it's the kind of thing that is really hard to get right on the first try. But they did great. This game is really cool. You really feel the pressure.
Key card first. Then that asshole gets what's coming to him.
So, here in the underground area of the police station, you can get another pistol. This one with a laser sight. But I'm gonna skip it, because it doesn't do as much damage as the player's other two pistols, and it uses another separate ammo supply, so I don't really care. Also, where did that guy come from? I ask you. Where did he come from? Did he jump over the wall on the left? I have no idea.
Oh no.
Either way, the reload for the single action army screwed me here. I took a big ol' hit. I don't know why she spins the cylinder before starting to put bullets in it. I don't know. But yeah, I took an extraneous hit there. I take a number of those in this playthrough, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck real bad. There's a bunch of supplies in the lockers in this room, but I didn't remember where any of them were, and I didn't want to unleash any more enemies than I had to. So I was like, alright, whatever, I'll just grab the key and get out of here. But the body of this guy ragdolling out of the locker, it physically blocked me. You could see me run up against him for a second. Oh. Oh, it's such a pain. Oh. It really makes you feel every hit you take, too. Every hit that you take feels awful because of it. Because of the game balance. Also, you don't have to kill this liquor. I did it anyway, and it was a bad idea. I should have just kept walking. Because like the liquor that was earlier on in the game, you can just walk by that guy and not trigger him, because he's on the ceiling, so you won't bump into him. Even if he leans down and your head brushes against him, it won't actually it doesn't actually matter. Like, if you bump into him while they're on the floor, then you will set them off, but if he's on the ceiling and he leans down and he brushes against your head, it won't trigger him. But I should have left him alone. I really should have. Oh, okay. Well, now it's up to old Ironsides' office. Chief
Must be where that guy
Bugfuck
came
Crazy Brian Irons. What a name. I really like the Chief's character in this game, because he is just the most crazy, ridiculous individual. They wrote a really good character who you absolutely despise. It's so they did such a good job making such a hateable character as Chief Irons. He's such a fucking crazy person. Oh, it's great. Now, at this point, I actually kind of forgot where to go. Thankfully, Claire B is interesting. It's interesting how linear Claire B can be at times, but after I pick up the key that's in this area, I actually completely forgot the route that I needed to take. I remembered that you need to get both electrical parts, and I remembered that they were both on the 3rd floor, and this is how I discovered a loopback that I didn't actually know was there. So, I guess I'll explain it better when we get there. For now, I'm gonna craft some ammo for the original handgun, because I have none for the single action army. And so begins a very long string of me going back and forth between the two handguns as I have ammo for them. It ends up working out pretty well. You exhaust ammo for one, and by the time you've done that, you have ammo again for the other. You know, it works out pretty well. The only thing that bothers me about it is is something kind of annoying that I remember to do, but it's still kind of annoying. The game resets your shortcuts. It's weird. It resets your item shortcuts whenever you swap out your weapons. And so I have to do that every time I take one pistol out and put another one back in. It's kind of obnoxious. It's still great to me that he has a dodo, a stuffed dodo in his office. How did he get the dodo? Where did he go to get the dodo? Is the implication that dodos are not extinct in Resident Evil? Like, maybe that's the start of a cataclysmic series of events where dodos are not extinct, and that leads to the creation of zombies. I'm depositing the diamond key in the box because I'm not going to actually go buy the linen closet, so I'm not going to actually use the final use of the diamond key. There also is no reason to go down here. If you want the spare key, the location of the spare key has been changed to be in this room, but I don't want it. Just like with Leon A, it's really not worth the time investment to go get it. I just came down here to get the ammo. The liquor only breaks through the glass after a certain amount of time being close to it, so if you're real quick like I was, you can just grab the ammo and leave. Hey, by the way, it's been about half an hour of watching this now. Let me know in the comments or whatever whether you prefer live commentary or post commentary for these things. There's not very much difference. I guess it's just a difference in attitude. But some people prefer to see my live reactions as things go wrong. It's just that, again, it was like 3 in the morning when I recorded this, so I couldn't have done it then anyway. Like, you know, I need to set aside a certain amount of time for it. So, you know, it's harder to find time to do live commentary, and I enjoy it a little bit less because I like being informed when I do my commentary. It's harder for me to do improv, like pure improv. But, yeah, just let me know what you think. Let me know if you prefer post or live. As always, I do my live streams on Twitch, so if you're interested, they are there for you, archived and everything. But anyway, the shortcut that I was gonna mention, in that room where we picked up the gear, is the other use of the heart key door to get one of the electrical parts. We can't actually get to the clock tower right now. We have to go the long way around. because the other door out of the storage room is barred. But what that means, what I didn't realize until just this playthrough, is that means that once you unbar that door, you have a real fast access back to the chief's office. And so I make use of that on the way out after I grab both electrical parts. For Leon, it's not that useful, but for Claire, it is invaluable actually. I'm really glad that I became cognizant of that, because if I had gone the long way, oh, it would have been so much harder. Because Mr. X is back. Still without his hat. I remember when I first became interested in Resident Evil 2, the remake. They showed exactly this set piece, where you're playing as Claire, Mr. X props up the chopper, and he chases you out into that courtyard. And they were showing off just this meaty, strong, unkillable guy as the player laid waste to him with explosives and gunfire and all that stuff, and it only stumbled him, and then they got grabbed and he was grabbing her head. It was brutal and terrifying. And then I heard that Resident Evil 2 had spiders in it, and I lost all interest. But finding out they removed them, it made it all worth it. Oh, and by the way, I think I've mentioned this in every piece of Resident Evil 2 media I've done, but the world record speedrun makes use of a certain technique there. Hello, liquor. Almost died to that liquor. A certain technique where you hit the aim button to sprint on stairs, because normally your character runs downstairs kind of slow. And that makes it so that for a split second you run at full speed. Now we needed to come down here to use the heart key so we could pick up the jack and go to the library so that we could get to the office. And look who shows up. I'm actually kind of glad he was still chasing me, because the rectangular nature of that room makes it really, really easy to juke him. Looking at my map real quick. I was trying to decide if it was worth it to go and get the dongle. You can see I'm hovering over the STARS office like, should I? But in the end I decided not to. And also, to keep this liquor from freaking the hell out, I threw another flashbang. However, I believe, thanks to this enemy being in my way, he takes a swing anyway. Yeah, this was where I decided that it wasn't worth it to go get the dongle, which I was on my way to do, but then I was like, no, forget it. I'll just make do without it. And I don't regret it, is the thing. I don't regret it. However, this room here gets kind of interesting. This room here is a fucking mess. Oh, but it's a glorious mess. This is a nightmare. Alright, so there are a couple of ways to make it so that you can get across the bookshelves up there. You can either move all of these shelves over to the right, or you can move the shelf that's farthest to the right over to the left, and then the rest of them over to the right. Okay? Well, what doesn't work is moving all but the last one over to the right, because you'll end up with an empty space. And I'd like you to keep that in mind as I get grabbed by this zombie. And behind me comes everybody's favorite stompy gentleman. I thought I was in the clear, but no, I screwed myself. So, Mr. X is after me, and I figured the fastest way to get back down would be to circumvent him by going through the hole in the floor. But no, he doesn't have to climb back down the ladder. So, thankfully he decided to crick his neck there instead of trying to punch me again. 'Cause I just about died. Oh God. I almost wish I had been recording commentary there because I screamed. I yelped in a very unmanly fashion. My yelp was so much higher pitched than my voice usually is. But I was a split second away from death there, and I was so unbelievably lucky. Like, it was at that point that I decided that no matter how shitty the rest of this run went, I was going to post it online just for that moment. It is moments like that that make games like this exciting. The idea of being stuck in a room with Mr. X, 2 zombies crawling around, and you haven't solved the puzzle that you need to safely leave. That kind of dread is what makes these games special, I think. That is what makes this game as good as it is just the concept there. And the execution is so great. I love this game. Oh, it's so great. But anyway, because of all the supplies I had to use, I now have enough room for both gears, which you know what? The funny thing is, I actually didn't have room for both gears when I was on the way up here, so I'm actually kind of glad that I got into that scuffle and had to use some of my supplies. Because otherwise, again, I would have been screwed. I would have had to drop something. It's kind of silly, actually, that you temporarily have to have both gears in your inventory at the same time. I kind of wish they would have just given you a prompt to swap them. But this game has old school horror game sensibilities, I guess, where you have to have room for something or else you can't pick it up, even if you're going to use it right away. Which is a shame, but whatever. It's not that big a deal. So, this is the cool thing. This is the shortcut. Normally, what I was going to do was go all the way back down to the library, through the library, down the second floor, across the STARS office, up the stairs on the other side to get back to the room. And even though Mr. X is right in my way, I can stun him with a grenade, and in fact, that's enough to kill him, temporarily, so I can run by.
Okay, better move it.
But for some reason, I just never thought to try this. Over here, this door has a deadbolt, but only on this side. So I can go back into the storage room from this side and through the heart door.
Oh, no.
And use the final use of the heart key so I can get rid of it. It's so clever. The design of the police station really is just so clever and so well thought out. Like, they put a lot of time and attention into routing out every possible path the player might take. And it was... I'm really glad I have the ability to think about this in a way that lets me show it off for you, because it never gets old to me, like running through the police station. Like, I'm completely out of ammo for my handgun right now, and I'm terrified because I have almost no other ammo for anything. And it is so well done. They deserve to be commended for it. They really do. Good job, Capcom. You finally made a good video game. It's been a couple years. So this puzzle, I really just... I try to do this on the fly, because I don't remember the solution of this puzzle anyway. It goes alright. Like, I don't really screw it up or anything like that. It's just that, you know... You gotta work backwards, I think. The easiest way to do this puzzle on the fly without thinking about it is to work backwards. And if you do that, and if you remember what the solution looks like, you can do it easy every time.
Where's that?
Now here's something interesting. This is something I have not considered. I don't know if there's any way to speed up the segment with Sherry. I have not, at this point, watched a speedrun of Claire's story. By the time I had done the Leon A S rank, I had watched the world record speedrun for Claire. I had watched the world record speedrun for Leon. But I have not yet watched one for Claire, so I'm interested to know if there's any way to make this segment go faster, because when you're hiding from the chief, there's really not that much you can do other than sit around and wait. And this segment goes on for 5-10 minutes. So I'm interested to know if you can make this go any faster than I did. There's like a secret button prompt you can do to make sure you do a Hadoken or something like that. I don't know. I really like playing as Sherry. This was a cool little segment. It reminded me a little bit of, I mentioned this on the full game stream, but it reminded me a little bit of playing as Natalia in Resident Evil Revelations 2. She's got the same kind of like arms folded over her chest, crouch walking hobble kind of thing as Natalia does. I wouldn't be surprised if it was based on the same animation almost, because it looks very similar. But I really like when they let you gear up so that you can take on threats, and then a horror game puts you against a smaller threat on the grand scheme of things. In this case, Chief Irons versus, I don't know, a zombie or whatever, but you have no way to defend yourself. That sliding scale where even a minor threat can be made so much more scary is so cool. I love horror games so much. It's really cool. It's such a cool segment that is so well done. They really make you feel the terror. And the voice actress who plays Sherry did such a good job of sounding like a little girl. This is...
Help! Somebody, please!
This is something that bothers me about games in general, and also animated films and stuff, is when they have adults voicing children, and it just sounds like an adult. Like, it just sounds like a woman pretending to be a child. I think that there are times when professional, again, this goes back to what I said in the Leon speedrun. I feel like there are times when the super big name voice actresses that play children sometimes, or young boys also, people like Tara Strong, similar.
Show yourself.
I feel like there is a place and time and a budget,
The longer it takes me to
but
find you,
again,
the worse it's gonna be.
at some point it doesn't really sound as realistic as it could, because it becomes recognizable as just that person imitating a child or similar. So hearing someone that you don't often hear, I think it makes the voice acting so much better. And that's not to say that those people do a poor job. It's just that I feel like it's more effective because of this.
Oh, God damn it!
So in the full game stream, I found out that you can hide from Irons behind that desk over there on the left right now, because he stumbles over the desk and gives you time to run by while he's holding his face. But I think what you are supposed to do is hide back here, underneath this desk instead, because it's like perfectly Sherry shaped.
Please.
This is your last fucking chance. Show yourself now.
Oh, it's so intimidating. They did such a great job making him just the fucking worst. I even bumped up against him there. If you saw, I jumped when I bumped him. I have to wonder if there's a way to make it out of this room without alerting him. I wonder if he just automatically notices you as soon as he turns the lights on.
Fuck is my key? I see.
Maybe there is. I don't know. There is at least one record achievement, unlockable, whatever, that I don't have as Sherry, and I wonder if it's for escaping from Irons without getting noticed. However, I feel like getting noticed here and running away from him is so much more terrifying. Like, look at him hauling ass. Oh. There is nothing scarier than this.
I'm coming in, Sherry.
When you are playing as a child. Like, I felt so helpless. The camera's so low to the ground. Oh, but yeah, I really like that segment. In a speedrun, I don't really know if there's anything you can do to make it go faster, but it's pretty cool. It's still pretty fun to experience. Again, this speaks to the quality of this game. That, again, I have played through this game, technically speaking, 4 times now. Like, I've seen everything there is to see, essentially, every situation that the player can be put in, and yet I still feel the same amount of tension as if it were the first time. So, out of ammo for her default pistol, bringing the single action army back out. I also am low on ammo for the single action army itself. So I have to bring out the SMG. I'm also really low on sub-weapons. Excuse me, this knife is all I have. It's so... Oh, it's the tension. I love the tension of reloading during a battle. And I'm not going to make the mistake I made on the full game stream and try to go back to the prison the long way, like an idiot. Instead, I'm just going to go the normal way that they intended for you to go. Oh, I'm so stupid. I still can't believe I made that mistake. I feel so dumb. I feel so dumb. Oh, but I feel like it made the playthrough more entertaining, so whatever. Those are the kinds of mistakes I would make if I was just playing on my own, I think. Like, if I were just playing by myself and not recording or streaming or commentating, I would still do dumb stuff like that. And so, I feel like that allows it to be representational of what a first-time playthrough would be like anyway. I like streaming blind playthroughs. It's fun to... It's fun to essentially just be playing the game while also being able to shoot the shit with the chat about it. It's really cool. I'm glad that games like this come along that I'm willing to buy. I put down $45 for this game, new, because I didn't want to wait for it to be on sale. I was so excited to try it that I bought it new. And the way to convince a person to buy a game new these days, instead of waiting for sales and costing the developers and publishers money, is to just make a good game. Make a game that gets good coverage and better reviews than your average AAA game, and people will buy it. This game spread like wildfire. Like those zombies are on fire. Like, this game became one of Capcom's best-selling games ever in no time flat. And it became one of the highest viewed games on Twitch in like a day after it came out. It's incredible. It's great. And I hope other developers and publishers and Capcom themselves take this as a lesson for what it takes, or in this case, what little scope it takes to make a game of this quality that has this good of a reception. So, I'm almost out of ammo for everything at this point. I am screwed. I am just screwed. I have almost no SMG ammo, and there's a bunch of dogs coming up here. Now, if you're real careful with your shots, 3-ish headshots on a dog will kill it. At least with the handgun. I don't know if the SMG is powerful enough, but still, I'm trying real careful. Trying to be real careful with my shots here, because I don't have many.
Oh no.
And remember, we got a whole nother fight with Birkin coming up here that I gotta start saving up for. And yet, here I am. Here I go. Thankfully, they give you a bunch of SMG ammo right here, because they expect you to be using it on the dogs, so it's not that bad, I guess. Could be worse. It is at this point that I'm really wishing I had the stock. I really wish I had it. It's so scary all the time. Oh, horror games. So I was able to fool this dog coming up here into jumping on top of the bus and going to the other side on the live stream, but I was unable to here, so I just had to kill him. Not like it's that big a deal, but hey, I didn't even know where that dog came from on the full game stream, but
Hang on.
there we
Sherry.
go. Now I know. And I guess knowing is half the battle. Don't they have a backyard that they could put those gravestones in?
I have the
Like,
pendant.
it's so... Even for a horror game, you know, it's still so weird and dystopian to have the gravestones be in the front yard in the playground of the orphanage. Like, what? Oh, God. Resident Evil. Also, I'd never noticed this before, but Chief Irons has a little map of the city on his desk that has like little pins for where he's abducted people.
Sherry?
Ugh.
I'll be right there.
Here comes Mr. X again before he gets obliterated by Birkin.
Go.
So, something interesting happens if you go way faster than Sherry here.
It's behind you!
Here, the dialogue gets a little bit strange.
Hurry!
Keep going.
Claire,
Like, just listen to this.
Sherry's daughter. Don't stop.
It's kind of weird. I don't know what happened, but the dialogue from the chase is going to play again. Also, again, totally out of ammo for the single action army. Gotta craft more ammo for the normal handgun. We really are going to be trading back and forth the entire time. In hindsight, I should have used more of the Magnum ammunition. I should have used the Magnum ammo for the standard handgun more, because I end the game with quite a bit that I didn't actually need, and it kills a zombie guaranteed on one headshot. So you gotta make use of it. It's worth making use of it instead of storing it.
Gonna smell like shit. Literally.
Because in this segment, there's a couple of zombies. In fact, they throw a room full of like 3 zombies at once at you, and it's not worth trying to conserve your ammo if you're not gonna need it later. Like, that's an important part of routing optimization for these speedruns, is like, am I going to need this ammo later? No? Might as well use it now. No point in saving it. Like, for all I said about being surprised that I ended the speedrun with no resources, and this one as well, as you'll see, that's kind of how you want to do it. Like, you want to only pick up what you need and use everything. Like, essentially that's how it should be. Also, I don't remember where I found this out, but I figured out the combination of this locker. I don't have any idea where you're supposed to find that information out at. Like, maybe it's in a note that's behind one of the doors that uses the key. I don't know. So, this part is tricky and nerve-wracking because I don't have many sub-weapons. All I have is this grenade and I think a knife, but I'm not going to take the knife because I don't think you can use it to save yourself from the younger G blob turtle things. I don't think you can use it. I think you can only use grenades to save yourself. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but I didn't want to risk it anyway as I wiggle back and forth here waiting for this bridge. I need a lot of empty space in my inventory to carry around the spark shot, which we're going to be picking up, the valve handle that I'm about to grab over here, the part for the gun that I'm about to stick in my inventory from this safe over here, and the chest pieces. My inventory is going to be completely full by the time we get back to the safe room, and I specifically planned for it to be that way. Like, I knew how many spots I was going to be filling up with items, and so I made sure to only take enough items to leave enough empty spots. So, the reinforced frame there is what allows you to fire those high-powered magnum shots from the default revolver. And what you could do if you wanted to be frugal was go and put it on the gun, take out the magnum ammo, and then use it on these guys. However, burning them alive is fun, if not a little bit smelly. So I decided to do that instead. Another difference from the Leon A speedrun is I went back to the box to deposit the valve handle and a couple of other things to make absolutely sure I would have room for the flamethrower, and among other stuff I needed. But I'm not going to do that. I've learned better. Again, it's another route optimization thing. By this point, I know better. I know that, well, I don't need to grab that key and have it taking up a space, so I can grab everything I need from here and then not have to come back here. I can just do it and then come back to the main hallway.
They're everywhere.
Unfortunately, the younger G's here in the sewers had a different idea. So, this is where the stock for the SMG would have come in so much more handy. Because every bullet for the SMG counts against these guys. It absolutely shreds their health, but it's reliant on you actually hitting them, which I have kind of a hard time with. I also got a little unlucky with this guy. He ends up hanging back, and it's kind of a bummer, because I can't shoot him while he's dropping off his little babies at the pool. I don't have much to say about these guys, actually. They're annoying. I only brought the SMG because I figured I was only going to need it, and I actually started to regret that because you can see that my ammo is already starting to dwindle for it. But I knew from foreknowledge that there would be an SMG ammo drop right there, so I figured if I could just survive that long, I'd be fine. Now take note that I didn't kill that guy. Remember that, because it's important that I didn't kill him or dismember him or anything like that. That will bite me in the ass in just a moment. I don't really get the spark shot. I almost didn't pick it up. I was hesitant to even take it because I wasn't sure what I wanted to use it on. In fact, I shouldn't have taken it because I don't think I fire a single shot out of it for this entire playthrough. I carry it around for a little while, but I don't think I ever actually use it, and here's why. It's because the spark shot doesn't seem like a secondary weapon. It really seems too powerful to ever use, because ammo for it is really scarce, but the enemies don't ever seem actually worth using it on. Like, using it on a normal zombie is a complete waste of ammo. Using it on one of the younger G guys out there, I could maybe see that. But using it on anything else, I don't know. Like, it even on bosses, it doesn't even seem to do that much damage to the few remaining bosses there are between now and the end of the game. And so the spark shot just seems a little bit out of place. I don't know if it was a weapon in the original game or what, but it just doesn't seem very useful to me. Or at least it doesn't seem well balanced. Anyway, I mentioned a while back, shooting a zombie in the ankle, or in the foot. That's what happens. You just knock their foot off, and they keep stumbling along without falling over, which is stupid, but I get it. It's dumb, but fine, whatever. I'm really glad that guy didn't grab me. I have nothing more to say about that. I'm just glad it didn't happen. Oh, so leaving this room is a pain in the ass. It's such a pain. Oh, this zombie makes my life a living hell. I wanted to run past this guy, but he ducks down. So I figured that was my chance. But no, he pops up way earlier than I intended for him to. And so now if he grabs me again, I have no way to save myself, and it's a guaranteed death instantly. So I have no choice but to kill him for my own safety. And this zombie is getting in my way while I'm trying to do it. I felt great shame. But not really. Like, I didn't feel too intense of shame, because that wasn't really my fault. Like, he popped up way before they usually do. Usually they pop up as you're running past them, not when you're still in front of them. Here's another thing that's different about Claire's story. The zombie there comes to life. And he grabs me. God. I got really lucky that this turtle guy decided to go in the water. If he stayed up there and tried to grab me again, you would not be watching this, because I would have destroyed my computer in a rage. I would have died, and then my computer would be out in the snow, out in the negative 40-degree weather, or however cold it's been lately. That's so disappointing that happened. And then this guy silently comes from around the corner before I can react. I'm just glad there was an herb here. And then another younger G comes from over here too. And yet again, zombies? You know how zombies can follow you through the sewage? Okay, just keep that in mind as I fail to get past this guy. Because he comes out so soon. He comes out so soon and he stumbles me, and I didn't want to get grabbed and killed. So close too. It almost happened too. And you know what? I got screwed over here by my hesitance to use the spark shot. I think that is why I had so much trouble, is because I was like, no, I'm gonna save my spark shot ammo for Birkin. I'll just use my normal guns for this. But that zombie is still here, and he grabs me again, and my urge to kill myself grows. He's gonna do it again too. He was going for another one until I shot his leg off. Just ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Fucking clown show. Like, oh, that's so funny though to me that I still made it despite this adversity. Again, this is what I love about this game. You can really, really struggle along for a while, and if you can just make it to that next ammo pickup or next health pickup, you'll be fine. And that is something to behold to me. Got our last part, and now we're heading back. You know, the world record speedrun for this game kills that guy, because when you open up the bolt door and exit, that guy wakes up. And for the longest time I was wondering why. Well, now I know why. And now I'm scared, because I'm running around with no healing supplies. And I know that there are at least 2 zombies alive in this room over here on the left, one of which was in the sewer. I don't know what happened to him, but he disappeared. And the other guy, thankfully, had not woken up. So by providence, this speedrun is allowed to continue, but again, it got real hairy. And you know what? That's not even the last time it gets that hairy either. We've still got one more segment to go where I thought it was over. And look at that. Just like I said, we're walking all the way back, stumbling, shambling, almost dead, back to the safe room, with my inventory completely full. And here comes something annoying. This is why it is very frustrating sometimes following a guide online to solve your puzzles and stuff. I mentioned earlier that I had all the puzzle solutions written down. Well, that included the solution to this puzzle, but the document floating around that people have been using as a reference guide to puzzle solutions does not say where the door is in this puzzle. They list the 2 rows of chess pieces and where they go, but they don't list where the rows start and where they end. And so I should have just written this down for myself. I should have looked back at my own playthrough of the game and written down my own notes. This is why you shouldn't use somebody else's notes to play through the game. If you're using a walkthrough to try and find out where to go, that's one thing. But using a walkthrough to play through the game, like to use their recommendations for using supplies and all of that stuff, in a game like this, it just doesn't work out because of the fallacious nature of someone writing a guide of their own experience. Your experience is not going to be like theirs. And so the person who wrote the puzzle solutions that I was using, they might have known internally, on the inside, they might have been aware of where the door was in the solution they wrote down. But me, I don't know that. I don't know where it is. And so I have to guess. And I had to try each individual combination of solutions. Because he just didn't list where the door was, which is really critical when the puzzle is even on both sides. Oh. I wouldn't recommend following a walkthrough for a game like this anyway, because the exploration is part of the fun. Again, that struggling along to the next safe room, the next red and green herb combination. It's fun. It's fun to struggle like that. I think I get it this time. I think. I don't remember. Hey, there we go. That's so fucking stupid.
Right, sure.
I was so frustrated.
No way.
I was just about to look at the hint and try to solve it myself. Alright, so we got some high-grade gunpowder, so I can make some SMG ammo, but I waffle back and forth on it a bit. Because it's like, I don't want to use it all and then not have any later. Because this is the Birkin fight where you can't actually defeat him. Any resources that you use in this Birkin fight are gone forever, donated to the fight, essentially. You have donated your ammo to the Birkin cause. And so I didn't want to use anything extremely valuable or extremely rare. But I believe it is at this point I decided, screw it. Like, I don't have the wiggle room to pick and choose what I want to bring. I just have to bring everything. So, again, this is the starvation, the supply starvation that made this run so interesting for me, is just the idea that I really did have to make use of all of my resources in one after the other. And it played out pitch perfect. It was really cool. And yet, I still come so close to falling short of the finish line. Again, we'll get there. You'll see. This segment gives me trouble. Specifically because I get a little unlucky with the hand.
Shit!
So, I mentioned in the Leon A speedrun that there is a surefire place you can stand where none of the claws will ever hit you no matter where they come down. But I got unlucky here, and he decided to keep putting the hand down through the same hole. The way you can tell where he is you can hear him running around above you, and I was trying to get him to go over to the other side of the room. But no, he coincidentally just decided to be in that place at the same time as I was, and just by coincidence, we were in the same place at the same time, and that made him, made him put the hand down through the ceiling to try and give me a little scratchy scratch.
Should have known you wouldn't die.
And again, like before, you can run past him there and save a little bit of time, but you gotta be careful to jump down right away, because just like with Leon, he gains on you. And hey, speaking of the Leon playthrough, this actually goes a whole hell of a lot better than it did for Leon, which I'm really happy about. I'm finally starting to learn a little bit about Birkin's weird, crazy movement patterns in this phase. He really just flails crazily, like, a little bit, but I don't know how that hit me. Hitboxes are weird, but I'm starting to learn his movement patterns and all that stuff. Even still, though, even with that, I almost didn't make it out of this anyway. Again, I just got really lucky that he decided to do that move. But I feel like I'm not giving myself enough credit, though. Like, yes, I keep attributing things that I do to luck, but there also is a good amount of skill involved in it, and that's why I like this, right? Ideally, there is no randomness whatsoever. This is what I like about speedrunning games like this, is you can narrow it down so that there is almost no random element to it whatsoever. And that's cool. It's super cool that this game is so tightly designed that you can control it that well. So there we go.
Have I got a surprise for you?
That's what I was trying to do on the Leon playthrough, but I screwed up. And I had to do it a second time. And in fact, I was so unconfident that I pulled out the flash grenade just in case. Thankfully, though, didn't need it. I'm a champion. The best at video games.
I'm so sorry, Sherry. This is taking forever.
I also agree with the person in my chat on the live stream of this, the Claire B live stream, who said that voice line should play over the puzzle and not that moment. I'm so sorry, Sherry. This is taking forever. This puzzle, I mean. It sucks.
Wait, that cable car.
Taking a sip of my soda, trying to keep my voice up.
Hold on, Sherry. You're gonna be fine.
I think I like doing post commentary better because
We're almost there.
it allows me to be a little bit more coherent with my thoughts. A lot of my commentary in a live playthrough is based more on reactions to things as they happen. And I have to pause, look at the map and all of that kind of stuff to form thoughts about routing and all of that, during which the timer still ticks. So going for pure speed, I probably would want to do it in post commentary. But I think for the entertainment factor, I think live commentary is better. It's just not what I prefer, perhaps. So this last segment of the game is actually quite linear for Claire. For Leon,
I'm getting you treatment.
for Leon, there's a
on,
little
Sherry.
bit of running around.
Okay.
You have to run the full circuit in the facility, not this part, but the next part, after going past the bridges. In the East Wing, you have to run the full circuit and unlock the shortcut back to the hospital lobby so that you can get the frequency modulator. And then you run all the way back here so that you can get the, I don't know, the hip pouch or whatever is back here, and then you run back to the East Wing and use it on the other two areas and all of that stuff. But for Claire, the frequency modulator is on the bridge out here to the left. So you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to do hardly any backtracking, and the area is quite a bit shorter. Claire's playthrough is just a little bit shorter than Leon's, and so it has slightly stricter times for the S rank and the S plus rank by about half an hour apiece. It's even stricter on hardcore. On hardcore, it's all the way down to an hour shorter, an hour and a half or so. And like, so far, I've been getting these S plus ranks with much time to spare. I imagine that they probably expect you to die once or twice, as a matter of fact, because it's just so hard to speedrun the game. But I've been doing it with such time to spare that I imagine you can do quite a bit of lollygagging if you really want to. Like, if you still want to explore and take your time, you have time to do that, as long as you do it at an accelerated pace beyond, like, a standard playthrough. I wouldn't say it's generous, but I would say it's generous enough that you have a little bit of wiggle room. You don't have to be the best player in the world in order to accomplish this, to do what I have done here. You know, you don't have to follow a guide or do the world record speedrun route in order to finish it. There's still a little bit of room for exploration, I suppose, to pick up resources. This guy on the left almost screwed me here. He almost screws me twice, as a matter of fact, and I'm quite upset at this man, cause he caused me to poop myself. Almost, anyway. But he's in my way now, so I'm just gonna use a magnum shot on him. Yeah, there we go. He did 2 grab attempts in a row, which is fucked up. I don't know why they can do that. It's messed up. I don't know why they can do that. I've given up on trying not to curse. It's just part of who I am. I always will be a bad mouth boy. I'm sorry. Get used to it or don't watch around children, I guess. Or maybe both. Get used to it and don't watch around children. You shouldn't be playing this game around children anyway. What's wrong with you? Oh, anyway. Frequency modulator is sitting right there out in the open, which means that you don't have to run the full circuit in order to get it, and start backtracking your way through to freeze the vaccine, the herbicide or whatever, which is cool. It's cool. I actually like that it's streamlined like that, because again, this is the B route, so they assume you have already done it the long way on the A route, and they don't make you do it again. I assume Leon B also is the same way, but I guess I'll find out when I eventually play it. It's really cool. I really like how this game pits your own knowledge of it against it in the B route. It stops being like you versus the enemies, right? You versus your desire to survive. And it starts becoming you directly versus Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 is antagonizing you. It's saying, oh, you think you know what's going on, but check this out. Have a frequency modulator. You're welcome. And of course, I don't have to go back to the box again now. So I'm trying to kit myself out so that I don't have to come back here, because I don't have to make this loop back in the first place. Thanks to already having the codes for the herbicide pod and puzzle, the herbicide puzzle, I don't actually have to come back to this room until I'm leaving the area. So, hey, it makes things that much shorter. Of course, in exchange, the plant guys wake up faster and more en masse, so you gotta be a little bit more careful of those guys anyway. Now these 2 codes here are different on the B playthrough. They are different numbers, but they're still always static. So if you know them, or perhaps, I don't know, have them written down somewhere from past experiences, you're fine. You don't need to do anything. You can just enter them and then cut out a bunch of time. Excuse me. Enter them and then cut out a bunch of time. Sorry I'm hiccuping so much. I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper while I record this commentary. This speedrun sponsored by Dr. Pepper, and it was a bad idea. I should have drank tea instead like I was doing during the Leon speedrun. Oh well.
Manual mode engaged. Adjust amount of solution to match cartridge capacity.
This is another situation where you would want to have the solution written down, because it's just, in the B playthrough, there are so many more moves that you have to make before this puzzle is solved. You could probably remember the combination on the A playthrough, because it's just red, blue, green over and over, but it's a fairly hard to remember sequence on the B playthrough, so I really don't blame you if you wrote it down like I did. I don't consider it cheating to have written it down, because again, they expect you to have already mastered essentially the rest of the game. Might as well write down the puzzle solutions too. There's a reason that back in the day, you got a notes section at the end of the game manual. That's what this is, essentially. Essentially? Not sensually. The plants are not sensual. I mean, they've got tentacles, but they're not sensual. Anyway, essentially, that's what it is. This is the New Age version of writing stuff down in the notes at the back of the manual. It's cool how the same design element can be presented so differently. So this is obnoxious, these two lickers. I meant to throw a grenade and try to take them out, but that guy was a little faster than I thought he would be. So I just absolutely obliterated that first licker with the grenade and the other grenade, but this second guy gives me a little bit of trouble. Thankfully, I shot him, and that's enough to make him get out of my way. I don't care about dismembering all these zombies, so I'm just gonna waste one of my flash grenades, because it's really not worth it to move your way slowly through crippling their legs. Also, I did that absurdly fast. I did that in the lowest amount of moves that it takes to do that, to get to the earth. Good work, Earth. I'm actually really satisfied with how fast I did that. Good job, Claire. I think the other one goes fast, too. You have to do one more frequency puzzle before this is over. Making a quick pit stop here at the safe room that opens up when you turn on the power, because my inventory's full, and I have almost no supplies, and I'm doing okay on ammo for once in my life, but all that ammo is about to go away, because I'm going to have to kill a bunch of plants. Matter of fact, actually, you know, I think this might be the point at which it is the most important, the most crucial to have the stock for the SMG. Like, all throughout this playthrough, I have occasionally lamented it, right? But I think this is probably the point at which it is most important, because having something that is pinpoint accurate is super necessary for the plants. Like, I guess I didn't consider it at the time, but I got absolutely screwed by having the crappy low accuracy SMG. If I had had the pinpoint accurate one with the silencer, then this segment upcoming here would have been so much simpler. And instead I have to rely on the slow shot revolver and like really tightly aimed shots to get by. And that's bad. Absolutely make sure you pick up the silencer. You need it. It's crucial. Like, I managed to get by without it, but I shouldn't have had to. I wish I'd remembered. The dongle was so important. The most important dongle in the world. Oh, it's yet another reason that I want a real one. It would be so hard to actually fit a STARS badge USB dongle into a computer, but still. Oh, also, I guess this is a chance for me to defeat a rumor about this game, I suppose. There's a rumor that the more zombies you kill, the more plant guys will be in this upcoming segment, but no, that plant guy there always spawns. Case in point, I didn't even come through this room until just now, because this is where the frequency modulator is on the A playthrough, but on the B playthrough, you get it way earlier, so I didn't need to come through here. Hooray! My life is so much easier. And again, because I got to stop at that box in the server room, I don't even have to go through here. Now, I learned from my mistakes here. I learned from my mistakes-ish in the live stream playthrough. I'm going to take these guys out with my crappy accuracy SMG and a grenade round, just so that they're not in my way when I'm running out of here. Again, I didn't know this until it was pointed out to me by my chat, but you can kill these plant guys instantly. Not instantly, but permanently, rather. Normally they get back up after a little while, a couple of minutes. But you can kill them permanently if you set them on fire after knocking them on the ground. And hey, conveniently, Claire has a grenade launcher that shoots fire grenades. What do you know? I don't think Leon even has a way to do it. Like, maybe if you hold the flamethrower over them for a while, it'll do the same thing. But yeah, Claire's got a much easier rap when it comes to taking out these plant
So
guys.
much for the weed infestation.
Warning. You have dispersed a dangerous...
Now, I got very unlucky here, because you might notice that there is a bunch of them in my way. One of them is always in your way, but I am about to get even more unlucky than I thought possible, because all of these guys wake up. It turns out that the herbicide was just stunning them for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah. I just said fuck it. I set Claire on fire temporarily, but it was worth it to get out of here. Now this is the scariest moment of the whole stream. They spawn a guy in this room, and I thought I was dead. I thought it was over. Because I didn't know he was there. I didn't know I had a flash grenade, and I didn't know that I had so much shit that could come into my pants at that moment. But, trousers full of brown, I finally made it out of this horrible nightmare hellhole. And from here, it's actually not too bad. That is what I would consider to be the last real hard part of the game, unless you count the boss fight. We gotta go get the sample, and we have to fight Birkin. But the Birkin fight, like, it gives me trouble because of my lack of ammo. Because of my lack of ammo for pretty much everything. But it's not actually that difficult. If you bring a good amount of healing supplies, you are pretty much appropriately prepared for it. At this point, unless you're me and kept taking annoying superfluous hits the whole time, you should be pretty good for the boss if you just have a good number of healing items. Look at that, that went so fast. Awes. Short for awesome, I assume. So, I don't actually have to prepare for the Birkin fight right now, because the Birkin fight requires you to come back across the bridge. It doesn't happen when you're going across the first time. And yet I still get so nervous going across this platform, because I know that as soon as I come back across it, bad things are going to happen in the world of Resident Evil. It's bad news bears. It really is.
Thank God. The antiviral agent. Gotta get back to Sherry.
Oh, so this is your last chance to get prepared for the boss fight right in here. And I took out everything. I made sure that I was as prepared as a man can be for this fight. With that said, I don't think I take the spark shot. And I should have. Again, I shouldn't have even wasted my time picking it up. I would say that the spark shot is similar to the Magnum in the Leon speedrun I did, if you watched it. If you watched it, I spoke occasionally about how I regretted taking the Magnum, because I didn't, like... It just caused me a lot of grief and caused me to lose a lot of time. And I feel like the spark shot is the same way. Like, if you aren't going to use the spark shot, you might as well not pick it up. It's helpful against the boss fight, but I would say that you don't really need it. Like, I didn't need it. I didn't really even use it. So I would say that if you decide early on that it won't really help you all that much, just don't bother. But my main problem with the boss fight on Claire's end is not necessarily even ammo for all of the ammo problems I'm having. It's actually healing, because this fight goes so much worse for Claire than it did for Leon. And again, the accuracy for the SMG screwed me there, because I really could have taken out that eyeball. It's a couple of unlucky hits. A couple of unlucky hits, and I'm just dead. Now that was a mistake. I admit to that mistake. I perfectly admit that was so stupid to try and sneak around him like that. Do not do that. You cannot do it. Because if you do, that's what happens. He retaliates. You gotta wait for an opening on the backside. As much as it hurts, you have to wait for him to go for one of these canisters or jump at you or something. And look at that. 4 magnum shots did exactly as much damage as I needed. How about that? And yeah, there's spark shot ammo right there, but I didn't even take it. I should have. In hindsight, I should have taken the spark shot and used it to defeat this boss. But oh well. These are the kinds of decisions that one would make, one would want to make before starting the run, but I'm dumb, so I made these decisions during the run instead. Now this was a good tactical decision on Birkin's part, because now I'm stuck back here with him. I have a feeling that is the intent of those, yeah. Ooh, another really close one. I almost died there again. Anyway, I have a feeling that is the intent of him throwing those canisters, is to box you into an area, and then Birkin walks through the fire to get you, and you're like, Oh, it's just like in the Leon speedrun, where he jumped on me as I was throwing a flash grenade. I thought it was over there. And just like that speedrun, I thought it was over here too. So, out of magnum ammo, running low on SMG ammo, almost out. Didn't bring the spark shot. Don't want to use my grenades because they won't really hurt him unless the weak point is exposed. I'm in dire straits here. This is, like, I got a good amount of ammo, but if I run out, then I can't win. So I have to be a little bit careful. Gotta be a little bit careful. Oh. I think this makes the fight more exciting, though. The sheer amount of juking that I have to do on this playthrough, and I'm on caution health, too. I love this game. Exciting moments like this make it so worth it. Alright, I have more SMG ammo than I thought I did, but I believe I walk out of here with none. I believe I completely use all of it. And again, I think I'm almost certain he's totally invincible before he throws this platform thing. I think. I have no idea. But I didn't even try. And there it goes. There goes basically the last of my SMG ammo. Oh. Talk about making use of your resources. I wonder what this fight is like in the original Resident Evil 2. I wonder if this fight is this epic in the original. You know, an epic crescendo of music, you know. The lab is on fire and there's smoke and this big monster stomping after you. I just don't know what it's like. I still don't know anything about the original game and I'm scared to know. But considering it was based on that game, even if it is somewhat of a reimagining, I can't imagine that it's that far off of this. Maybe. Either way, no healing items. And again, way lucky. So, again, no healing items. I'm fairly certain that at this point I'm completely out of red and green herbs. I think the whole red and green, that's over now. I can't remember. At this point, I was in a haze. I was so scared that it was over, but I think I was able to pull it off at this point. I was confident but wary. And I'm glad I was, because the end of the game ends up being a little bit stressful anyway. In fact, the end of this played out quite similar to the live stream, where I was totally out of SMG ammo and I had to ditch it for the revolver at the very end.
Gotta get back to Sherry.
I appreciate, too, that she says out loud, gotta get back to Sherry, because if you've played through Leon A and you are now doing Claire B, this is where Leon A ends. Leon runs back to the bridge, he and Ada have their thing, and then he gets in the elevator and he leaves. And I find it really interesting that they have her say that, just so that you remember that she's back in that office. Just so that you already have the expectation in your head of having to run all the way back. It's cool. It's cool that they do that instead of making you be like, wait, where do I go now? Oh yeah, Sherry. So yeah, I'm like, oh wait a minute, no SMG ammo, that's right. And actually this, ditching the SMG here actually ends up saving me, because I would have been one inventory space short for the minigun if I had kept the SMG here. So I'm glad I got rid of it. Goodbye, SMG. You were a staple of my goddamn wheelhouse, and now you are in the box forever. I'll see you in I don't know. I'll see you in Resident Evil 4. I love this game. This game is great. I really I'm continuing to enjoy my time with it. I'm so glad that I decided to play this game. Cuz it is above average in all respects. It really is.
I don't want to rush you, but we have to go.
I like the way Claire talks to Sherry. Claire doesn't treat Sherry like a little child. She doesn't have to babysit Sherry. She knows that Sherry is smart, has a desire to survive, and they're in it together. I really like the dynamic between Claire and Sherry in this playthrough, in Claire's story. And I said this, I think, during the credits of the live stream, but I think Leon's playthrough is a better Resident Evil story, and Claire's playthrough is a better personal story. You know, it's got irons, it's got being chased by Mr. X and having him be eliminated by Birkin, who is now the prime threat and all of that stuff. It's got Claire wanting to help Sherry just because she feels like it, because she's a good person. I think this is a silly comparison to make, but I think Claire's story would make a better movie, and Leon's story makes a better game. But that's not to say that Claire's story makes for a bad video gaming experience. Obviously, they're both fantastic. I'm just saying that were they to make a movie of Resident Evil 2 Remake, I feel like Claire would be a stronger contender. But even with that said, right, they are both excellent Resident Evil games. Like, you know how sometimes people will say, oh, it's a good game, but it's a bad X game, you know? It's a good game, but it's a bad, I don't know, Zelda game or whatever. It's a good game, but it's a bad Devil May Cry game. It's a good game, but it's a bad Dark Souls game, you know? People always use that as an excuse to say, no, I enjoy this game, but I don't enjoy it as a companion piece to this series. Well, I feel like Resident Evil 2 Remake fits in perfectly with what Resident Evil has become. It makes a good companion piece to the games that trade off survival horror and action. Resident Evil 4, essentially. I think it's a good way to bring the classics into the new age. They obviously that was clearly their goal with this game, and they pulled it off in spades. So good job, Capcom. Well done. Or whoever was responsible for this mess. Good job. So here's something I'm kind of proud of. This plant guy. Every hit that I take on this plant guy is on one of his weak spots. I don't know. I got an achievement for doing that. There's an achievement for killing a plant guy by only shooting him in the yellow pus blobs, and I did it. And I don't know. When I saw the achievement pop up for that, I felt good inside. I like that the oven guy is here. I just like to think that that's the oven guy from Resident Evil 4, a couple of games too early.
Sherry, you hanging in there?
I'm right behind you.
Atta girl. Think we're almost out of here.
So, someone told me that there was a box in this room. On the live stream, someone said there was a box in this room so you could swap stuff out and make sure you had room for the minigun, but I don't know where it is. I check a couple of times. I check inside the train, and then I also check in the room. Maybe it's on the other side of the platform near where you come in? I don't know. But either way, yeah. I don't really know. Again, this is another reason I shouldn't have taken the spark shot, because I don't end up using it. I took it just in case, is the thing. Like, I specifically took the spark shot just in case I needed it, in case I ran out of minigun ammo. But I ended up with a huge surplus of minigun ammo. So I just decided, alright, well, screw it. I guess I'll just drop the spark shot ammo finally. At this point, I actively regret taking it, but it's too late. We can't turn back the clock. I didn't save my game. So okay then, I guess. Time to have a sweet final boss fight with Birkin. I don't know which I like better. I don't know if I like Claire's final fight against Birkin or Leon's final fight against Mr. X better. I think maybe Mr. X. I think I would say Mr. X if I had to compare the two, just because Mr. X feels like a more potent antagonist, I guess. Like, he's a persistent bastard. Like, he shows up chasing you throughout the whole game, you know? Whereas Birkin is relegated to boss fights only. And in fact, Birkin saves the day, technically speaking, in Claire's playthrough. But even then, in Claire's playthrough, he is more of the persistent antagonist, I suppose. Like, Mr. X is there in Claire's playthrough, but he's not nearly the force to be reckoned with. So again, I guess I would say that it depends on the playthrough, I suppose. I suppose I would rather that I have Claire fight Birkin instead of Mr. X, and I would rather have Leon fight Mr. X instead of Birkin. It's interesting. It's just interesting how each game tells the same story, but with two totally different approaches. It's really interesting to me. So this final fight against Birkin honestly isn't too tough. You just have to be careful not to get knocked over, because one hit from him, one pounce will take you to danger, and I'm pretty sure that charge would have taken me to danger too if I hadn't had the damage resistance. I'm just glad I was appropriately prepared for this, because obviously there's no items around the arena this time, so if you run out of healing, you are, as I said, fucked with a capital PH. Also, I found out that you can stun him by shooting him off of the train and shooting him when he's on the wall. I guess I just wasn't... I don't know, I guess that just didn't occur to me. I did it on accident in the stream, but I guess I didn't consider that that's what you're supposed to do to try and kill him faster. Also, I think if he catches you in this final phase, he just kills you. I didn't have it happen. Like, he has never hit me during this final phase where he's just crawling after you. But man, what a terrifying opponent. Just, I don't like it. Oh. And of course, the final segment unique to the B route. I assume that on Leon B, Leon does this instead of Claire. I make sure that I have as much ammo and stuff as I can, but you don't really need healing for this because you just die instantly. But making sure that I have everything I need, you know. Because I would hate to die just short of the finish line. That would be really, really embarrassing. But I have quite a surplus, again, of minigun ammunition, and that ends up being almost what I need. And so, I conclude this run without ever firing a single shot from the spark shot, and I feel like a big dummy having it on my back the whole time.
You gotta stop meeting like this.
So opinions are split. Opinions are split on whether or not this actually does anything. It doesn't seem like it does. Shooting him before the eye pops out doesn't seem to actually harm him any. Maybe.
For fuck's sake, how the hell are you still kicking?
I'm really not sure. Like, I'm laying into him just because I have the ammo to spare for it, but alright.
Chris likes to say.
Here we go. So satisfying. Just so utterly satisfying. It's a very strong eyeball, too. But, of course, we have to finish it with the Magnum. Come on now. And again, timer keeps ticking during cutscenes and the credits, which is unfortunate because the credits song in this game is fantastic. But that's it. There you have it. In a even slightly faster time than I did Leon A, it's Claire B. S+, no deaths, no saves, in an hour and 43 minutes and 21 seconds. Thank you very, very much for watching and for hanging out with me once again for another 2 hours. I really appreciate having you here, and I really appreciate your support. Take care, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.